On what's been a historic day for the people of Egypt. After 30 years in power, Hosni Mubarak, the military man who became vice president of Egypt, then took the reins of power following the assassination of President Anwar Sadat, has heeded the calls of his people. He has resigned. Marina Ottaway is the director of the Middle East program at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. She also taught at American University in Cairo. She joins us now from our bureau in Washington. Ms. Ottaway, welcome back to Bloomberg's Bottom Line. Always good to have you on.
Good to be on.
Ma'am, there had been conflicting reports throughout the week up until as soon as yesterday that Mr. Mubarak might in fact stay in power until September, and he said as much during an address to the nation. What do you suppose changed his mind?
I am not sure he changed his mind. I think probably the military forced him to resign because Mubarak had definitely become a liability to the regime. You have to keep in mind that Mubarak is gone, but the people in control now are still people who are part of the older regime. So I think what happened is that the regime sacrificed the president in order to be able to continue playing an important role in the transition.
Ms. Ottaway, although it appears that Mr. Mubarak was not forced out of office by gunpoint, as you say, the military forced his hand, can we call this a coup?
You know, it's not very clear what a coup is. No, I would rather not call it a coup. After all, there was an announcement that Mubarak had transferred power to the military in the end, so that there is some sort of continuity here.
Who's in charge in Egypt right now? Is it in fact the military, or is it some other faction?
Well, that is not clear, at least as of 10 minutes ago when I left the office, so I don't know if anything happened very recently. We were waiting for an announcement on the part of the military to clarify some of these issues. The big question now is it just the military, or does Omar Suleiman, the vice president to whom Mubarak transferred power yesterday, still plays a role? And this is not clear at all, but I think there is very little doubt that that most of the power is in the hands of the military now.
Okay, as far as Omar Suleiman is concerned, the vice president who was appointed to that post by Mr. Mubarak, he does not have the backing of the people either, because they see him as a puppet of Hosni Mubarak. So what is Mr. Suleiman's role at this point?
Well, that is not clear. It's not even clear that he has a role at all. I think Omar Suleiman lost whatever credibility he had, and he had done some negotiating with members of the opposition, but whatever little credibility he had, he lost yesterday when, following the speech by Mubarak, essentially he told the people in the streets, okay, we have done it, the transition is done, just go home, because it was so clear to everybody that there was no acceptable transition plan yet, that I think Suleiman lost his credibility.
Ma'am, talk to us about this democratic uprising, if you will, that's been taking place over the past 18 days or so, and why this seemed to catch the world by surprise. It seemed to catch the United States by surprise.
Well, you know, the problems of Egypt were chronic problems. I lived in Cairo 20 years ago, and already then everybody knew that an uprising could take place at any time, that the people were fed up with the situation, the economic conditions were difficult, people were chafing at the lack of freedom, at the lack of democracy, and so on. The problem is, in situations of this kind, is that you never know what might spark an uprising. People were caught by surprise in Tunisia, same kind of thing. The basic conditions existed, but what can spark an uprising, you never know it.
Ms. Ottaway, in our last minute, what is Hosni Mubarak's legacy?
I think it's a pretty negative legacy, because in the 30 years of Hosni Mubarak rule, Egypt stagnated economically. It's only in the last 4 or 5 years that you have a beginning of a process of economic growth. It lost the leadership position that it used to occupy in the Arab world. It really has become a much less important country. I mean, with 80 million people, it will always count for something in the Arab world. But it's certainly not a leader leader in the region the way in which it was. I think the next government has a good chance of re-establishing a leadership role, but Mubarak essentially took a do-nothing position. Just make sure that you don't rock the boat and maintain security over any other consideration.
Marina Ottaway of the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace joining us from Washington. Ms. Ottaway, thanks so much again. It's always a pleasure to have you on.